Good evening. My name is Daniel Cortez, and I am a staff attorney here at Legal Aid of Southeastern Pennsylvania. This portion of the presentation will be a little bit about our organization and some COVID-related resources. So I'm going to get right into the resources. They include updates on housing, unemployment, public benefits, especially during this COVID pandemic. So hopefully this is beneficial for everybody that is watching. The first update I'd like to give is unemployment. So the way I would summarize it is if you worked in 2019 and have work authorization / you're eligible for unemployment because you're a citizen, have some sort of legal permanent status, you are eligible for unemployment. So the first type of unemployment that is available to everybody is the traditional unemployment. This is if you have W-2, if you have pay stubs, you have an employer that is paying you, and there's physical evidence of that. For that, you just apply like you normally would. If you have issues applying for traditional unemployment, our friends at Philadelphia Legal Assistance have this hotline for those individuals. So if you have not already applied for regular unemployment, traditional unemployment, you can do so. And if you have issues because you don't have access to technology, that hotline is there to help. I also have a link with some frequently asked questions and frequent issues that people have been facing, so that if you need help troubleshooting, you can look at that link right there. But if you have any other issues, have applied and have not heard back, have issues with final determination, with any appeals, please call Legal Aid. You can call our organization if you live in the suburban counties of Philadelphia, but call any Legal Aid, then they will help you with that. So that leaves everybody else that is not eligible for unemployment, either because they didn't work enough, they worked part-time, they worked under the table, they were gig workers, self-employed, contract work, anything that wasn't covered by the traditional unemployment, you will be able to apply for pandemic unemployment assistance. So we're recommending that everybody apply to this if they have not been able to work because of COVID, and do have some work history in 2019, and then you would let unemployment decide whether you're eligible. So the important thing about this is that you can actually backdate the claim. So if you're watching this in July or August, and you have not applied for pandemic and you were an Uber driver, or you were self-employed under the table, or you only worked part of 2019 and you weren't eligible for traditional unemployment, you can apply for pandemic unemployment today and receive your benefits starting from when you stop working, which could be in March or April. And then you'll get all those back payments. That is not normally how it works for traditional unemployment. So I definitely want to highlight that difference in pandemic unemployment for those that have not applied yet. If you have applied and have issues with your pandemic unemployment application, please call Legal Aid. We will be able to help you try to get in contact with unemployment, look at your application and see if there are any issues. Lastly, everybody is eligible for the pandemic unemployment compensation, which is the additional $600 a week, whether you get traditional unemployment or pandemic unemployment. And that only runs from April 1st to the last week of July. The beneficial thing about this is even if you're eligible for $1 in unemployment, you're eligible for the additional $600. So that's a great resource for those that need to collect unemployment. Lastly, there are some getting back to work resources for people that are now getting called back, safety concerns, your rights, whether you should get paid leave, sick leave, anything like that. There's a link for those that need them. So in summary, if you have any issues with any type of unemployment right now, You can use legal aid as a resource. We will try to look into it as much as we can and advise you as to what your rights are, your appeal rights, or investigating anything wrong with the claim. The next topic I'd like to talk about is utilities and internet. Now that we are now all very remote in many different parts of our lives, internet is now become an essential function of our society. So Comcast is offering a $10 a month internet for low-income families. So it's called Internet Essentials. You can Google it or you can use that link. You can apply if you currently don't have internet or are low income because your income has changed and you still need internet. Lifeline also provides a $10 credit for phone or internet service. That's a national organization that can help people pay those bills. And then we're also encouraging people to apply to their CAP program with their utility provider. So whether it's gas or electric, if you are behind on your utility bill and your income has significantly changed because you're not working, you can apply for the CAP program and they will subsidize your utility bill if you qualify. And you could do that by contacting your utility provider directly. But the link is there for those that would like to have it. The next resource is called LIHEAP. This is a state program that helps people with their utility bills related to heat. So this could include electric or gas if you need electric to run your heat source. And that application has been extended to August 31st. Normally, this is only open in the winter. So this is a great resource for people that have not only fallen behind on any type of bills, but your utility bills, and you're in danger of having your utilities shut off. So that allows it up to $800 in any outstanding balance that will be directly paid to your utility provider. The great benefit about this program for the immigrant community is that if there are undocumented members in the family, as long as one person has status, they can apply for the LIHEAP program. They'll calculate the income of everybody in the household, but they will use only the people that are documented in terms of the household size. So that's a possibility for those individuals. The next resource is public benefits, food. This is one of the biggest needs that we have seen in the community. So if you had children eligible for free and reduced meals and they were going to school, they should have received a pandemic EBT card for some of that food that they would have received at school. So if you haven't received that card or you're having issues with that card, if you had children that would normally attend public school and they were getting free or reduced meals, you can call that number, or you could fill out that web form if you're having issues with the card. You could also call your local county assistance office. And then we're recommending that everybody that has significant changes in their income, they can apply for public benefits, including SNAP benefits, medical benefits through the Compass portal. That is where you can get be screened for all the public benefits that you might be eligible for. And then there's the link for Pennsylvania's list of food banks throughout the state, but you can Google food banks, food pantries to try to find some food near you if that is something that you or somebody you know may need. Health insurance, we know that health insurance is tied to people's jobs. So if you lost a job recently because of COVID, the Pennsylvania Health Access Network can help you try to navigate how to get some coverage. So there's a phone number, there's the email, there's the website, pahealthaccess.org. You could troubleshoot any type of denials or help you with the application process of the current health insurance providers out there. The last resource, it's one of the newest resources. It's the CARES Act Mortgage and Rental Assistance Program. It is being run by the PHFA, the Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency. And every county has a different organization that's processing applications. And this is for both rental assistance and mortgage assistance for anybody who's has had their financial situation dramatically change, okay? So the application requirements are very, very simple. You either have been unemployed because of COVID or you lost 30% of your annual income because of COVID. And you just need any proof of physical residence from a third party. This could be an ID, this could be a utility bill, a cable bill, anything that'll prove your residence. And then you need to have a social security number or a valid ITIN number. This is an individual tax identification number for individuals that may not have citizenship status currently. And the last thing you need to do is you need to fill out an application and have your landlord sign an affidavit that the house is up to codes and that you do in fact reside there and you are behind whatever amount that you are behind. So if you are behind on your rent, this is a great program to apply to. You can get up to $750 a month for up to 6 months paid directly to the landlord. That'll cover your rental expenses. One of the fine print or conditions to this program is that the landlord will waive any rent amount over $750 and cannot evict you 60 days after the last payment is made. So this means that if your rent is $1,000, the landlord cannot collect the rest of the $250 for the month that they received this help. They basically have to agree that $750 will cover the entire month's rent, regardless of what your current rental payment is. So unfortunately, you need your landlord to sign and agree to be receiving this aid and to be receiving a lower amount if your rent is more than $750. So that could be a challenge. But if you or anybody you know is behind 3, maybe 4 months in rent, this could be a windfall. This could be a benefit for the landlord since they haven't received any money in such a long time. So that's something that they might consider. I've heard landlords that have considered this, so it's worth a shot to try to communicate with your landlord. The other thing is that there's also a mortgage assistance component to this. So if you are a homeowner and you are behind on your mortgage, they will pay up to $1,000 a month for 6 months, and that'll be paid directly to the mortgage provider. There are different requirements, but I recommend that you log in to the website right there, phfa.org/PA-CARES. All the details are there. You can feel free to contact our organization if you feel really stuck, but you need to apply and submit the application online for the mortgage assistance. For the rental assistance, you would submit it to the individual county that is processing the applications. So all the information is there, and the applications are also in Spanish. The next one is the eviction moratoriums. So this means that for the most part, evictions cannot proceed until after August 31st. Governor Wolf paused all new evictions stemming from non-payment of rent or lease expiration until that date. So the fine print there means that a landlord can still evict individuals for other reasons. They want possession of the property because maybe the property is, there's other lease violations. So this could be, there's pets in the property and the contract doesn't allow for pets. There could be noise complaints, illegal activity, anything relating to any other part of the contract. The landlord can evict individuals for that part. But if it's for back rent, which is the majority of the reasons that somebody would get evicted, then that is paused until August 31st. So hearings shouldn't be scheduled until September, okay? But if you facing some type of eviction, having issues with the landlords based on this, please give legal aid a call, and we will try to see if we could get one of our landlord tenant attorneys to help you. Here's some action steps that we're recommending people take before the moratorium expires on August 31st, and you are still behind on your rent, because at that point, legally, the landlord can evict you. So you want to communicate, be as transparent as possible. You can create a payment plan if need be, or try to allocate some type of money towards the back rent. But obviously, if your financial resources don't allow you to do that, we're recommending that everybody make sure that they apply for unemployment, public benefits, and if available, the rental assistance program that I mentioned. That is $750 for 6 months. And it's really inclusive, because if you lost your income and you have proof of residence that you live there and your landlord's willing to sign for it, it's pretty much something that they will approve, okay? And there is still money available for that program. The deadline for that program, I forgot to mention, is September 30th. The second thing that we're recommending is you want to make sure you take pictures of your lease or keep copies of your lease or any proof of residency outside the home. So that could be in your phone as pictures, that could be in the car, with a neighbor, with a family member. Because if you come home and you're illegally locked out, that means that the landlord can change the locks, put another deadbolt, or try to physically remove you from the property. You will have evidence that you actually live there. So an illegal lockout is called illegal because it's unlawful for a landlord to do that. You can only be evicted by a court order. And since the courts are not allowing individuals to be evicted until August 31st for non-payment of rent, this shouldn't really be an issue for the majority of people. So you should call 911 and have your proof of residency, and you should also call legal aid so we could have an attorney try to look into the legal situation, okay? The other thing is try to negotiate late fees, especially if your income has dramatically changed and you had good payment history. It doesn't hurt to ask the landlord to be flexible on the late fees. And even in court, late fees need to be reasonable. Judges can strike down late fees if they are unreasonable. For example, $50 late fee per day is very unreasonable. So most judges are probably going to say that they are not going to sign off on that in terms of a judgment. And if you live in federally subsidized housing, you should object to any late fees, and that is because the CARES Act prohibits any late fees to be charged if you live in federally subsidized housing. This includes if your landlord has a federally subsidized mortgage, which obviously most people aren't going to know that. So you could definitely ask. You can call legal aid if you're having issues with late fees, especially if it's hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars, and the landlord is not budging. Please give us a call and we can negotiate on your behalf. The other thing is you want to review your lease. Landlords can try to evict before August 31st if there's other lease violations. Remember, I told you that was an exception. So you want to be careful with that and make sure that you're in good communication with the landlord. The other thing is if you have any issues with an illegal lockout, you can also report it to the State Attorney General's office. They're investigating these because they're very serious and they want to make sure that they're addressed. So landlords can be criminally liable or civilly liable if they illegally evict somebody. So that includes cutting off the utilities, changing locks, removing any type of structural necessities of the house, anything like that is an illegal eviction, illegal lockout. So please pay careful attention to that. This is another resource. It's a rent rebate program. So if you are a renter and you're over the age of 65, or you're a widower, 50 and older, or you have a disability and are 18 and over, you can get a rebate if your income limit falls within certain guidelines. And that rebate could be up to $650, and homeowners can get up to $975. So that's both for the property tax for the homeowners or for the rent rebate for people that pay rent. And that deadline has been extended to December 31st. So if your income has dramatically changed, if you're really struggling, this is another resource from the state that has always been there, but they've extended the deadline for anybody that needs help with that. All right, so this is our main presentation about legal aid of Southeastern Pennsylvania, the different types of things that we do, how you can open up a case, and where we are located. So we are a nonprofit organization. We provide pro bono civil legal representation to residents in the suburban counties. That's Bucks, Montgomery, Chester, and Delaware. We have 7 different office locations, and we have different outreach locations. Those are organizations that we partner with for people that need to see people, to see us, and we could be much closer. But every county has a legal aid organization. Philadelphia has Community Legal Services and Philadelphia Legal Assistance. So if you Google legal aid and the county that you live in, you can find a legal aid organization that can represent you pro bono, free, if you're low income, for certain types of civil legal issues. So these are some of the examples of areas of law that we practice in. Every legal aid is different. Some practice in these areas, and others, some might not practice in some of the areas that we do. So I'm going to talk a little bit about every case, every area, so that you know exactly what type of cases we take. So if you have a legal issue, and that's one that we practice in, these are the qualifications that will allow us to represent you. First, you have to be low income. That means your monthly household income has to be below 125% of the federal poverty line. Because of COVID, and we have other grant sources, we're flexible in accepting clients a little bit above that. So if you feel like you're on the line or you're unsure, just please call our intake department, which I'm going to give the information later on, and open up the case and see if you're eligible, because there might be situations where we can apply some qualifying expenses. We can represent victims of domestic violence and seniors over 60, regardless of their income. So as long as they fall within our priority guidelines, we will accept those cases if the resources that we have currently allow us to take those additional cases. So if you are part of one of those 2 groups, you can definitely call and apply and see if we can take one of your cases. The other requirement is that you have to have some sort of legal status. That means you're a U.S. citizen, a permanent resident, or some sort of other documentation. So if you're not sure what your status is, or what legal status you may have, again, I encourage you to call our intake department if you do have a legal issue, and we will ask what documents that you have, and our intake department will determine whether we can assist you. And if we can't, we will refer you to organizations that may not have those requirements. One of the exceptions is that we can assist people that are undocumented in domestic violence cases or human trafficking. So if you're a victim of violence, domestic violence, and you don't have legal status, we can still assist you in those situations. The other thing is that you can't be a conflict of interest. So if this normally falls, we normally see this in custody cases. So if we're already representing, let's just say the father, then we can represent the mother and vice versa. The other thing is we normally don't take fee generating cases. Those are cases where an attorney would charge a percentage of the settlement. That's personal injury, workers' comp, traditional, some lawsuits where an attorney will say, we'll get 30% of the money if we win, and if we don't win, you don't have to pay anything out of pocket. So we don't normally take those cases because we're focused on the rest of the things that we do. All right, so family law. This includes custody. So if you're having issues with your initial filings, modifying an order, you have a custody hearing, anything like that, we can advise you on. We can provide advice for people that are having issues, and we could even, depending on the case, represent you in court. Some of the counties we can represent in in divorce matters, if they are simple divorces without assets. So that's normally when both parties agree to the divorce. So if there's any type of dispute, then we wouldn't take those cases. And then the next one is parental terminations. We have that in Bucks and Montgomery. That is when the state is trying to change the parental rights of the families. So we have some attorneys there as well. This is the protection from abuse department. So if you have issues with domestic violence, we can order what's called a PFA and help the alleged victim get a protection order from the abuser. This also could include divorce or custody issues. And again, I want to highlight that we can represent people regardless of citizenship if the legal issue is connected to domestic violence. The other thing that we do is we do appeals and modifications for public benefits. So if somebody has an issue with any of these public benefits, they get denied, the public benefits are removed, or you have any terminations for your utilities, we can help you in the appeal process so that we can try to see if we can get those benefits back to you. The other thing that we do is called an overpayment. That is, if you were given one of these benefits, but then determined that you weren't eligible for those benefits, you have to pay that back. But there are appeal rights for you if you have a case against the department. So don't feel like you don't have any rights. There could be administrative mistakes, or there could be something that can explain why you received an overpayment, and we can help you navigate through that. The next is housing. So if you are a homeowner and you're in danger of losing your house, I would call legal aid. So we have a little bit of a higher income requirements since you're a homeowner, but definitely foreclosure defense, the earlier the better. So as soon as you're falling behind on your payments, there are programs that the state offers, and there's other solutions before it actually gets to the foreclosure, the end of the foreclosure process. Because the longer you wait, the less resources, the less options you might have. So we have different types of programs depending on the county that you are in, but there's definitely more programs for people that are elderly. There's loan refinance programs. There's diversionary programs. And then we could even do some bankruptcy if that'll mean that your house will be safe. And then we could even do some condo, homeowner association fee issues. And then lastly, in Chester, we do a mobile home tax abatement program. That's Chester County. That is if you're in a mobile home, you can try to actually appeal the tax liability for your mobile home, and it should be decreased if it hasn't been already. This is the employment law. If you have any issues with unemployment, appeals, before and after termination, we can represent you in the appeal. We can represent you in the Board of Review or Commonwealth Court in any of those hearings. So if you have any issues with that, if you got denied unemployment or have issues, we can represent you. The same thing with public benefits. It's called an overpayment with unemployment. If you were given unemployment and then determined that you're not eligible for it, you will have appeal rights if there's a reason for it and you have some defense. So we don't unfortunately represent employer discrimination, workers' comp, or private employer lawsuits. We do a little bit of elder law. These are called power of attorneys and living wills. So if somebody's elderly and they would like to draft up a legal contract to see who would take care of them, given their health condition, we can help assist in writing up those documents. Okay, but we don't do probate or guardianship. That is, somebody passes away, or if somebody needs help with the estate, we unfortunately don't do that. The next area that we do is anything relating to consumer protection. So if there is somebody that is trying to collect debt from you, there are specific laws and processes that they have to follow. This could include repossessions or unfair billing. We could even do student debt discharge if you have a permanent disability or the school that you attended closed before you were able to graduate, or there's some other avenues for that. One of the biggest things that we do is we do advise people on bankruptcy. So that's definitely an option for individuals. We can do that for people if they have a lot of debt and they would like to talk about their options. Feel free to call us. But this department is focused on the prevention of any loss of property. So with housing, it was loss of your home. This one is the loss of any personal items. This is our expungement unit. So this is the part where I focus on is working on erasing criminal backgrounds for individuals. So this could include either completely erasing somebody's criminal charge, or it could be sealing somebody's record. That means that it just won't be available to the public. Anything else we do is a pardon, and then that is an application to the governor. One of the programs I'd like to highlight is the expedited pardon program that is for nonviolent marijuana convictions. It only takes about a year to get that completely off your record. So if you have any nonviolent marijuana convictions, we can assist with that. The other thing we do in this department is court debt waivers. This is for people that have significant amount of criminal court debt and they're unable to pay that. We can help with that depending on the financial situation. The last part we do here is we do name changes for individuals that are trans or victims of domestic violence. Our landlord tenant department really focuses on anything relating to the tenant landlord relationship. So we help in an eviction. So if you're being evicted, we can have an attorney represent you in the hearing and we can raise any one of those defenses. There's also defense of unhabitable conditions if the place where you're living is not up to code. And there's options for you to do if there's options for you to take if there's issues with housing, and we can advise you on that. And we can advise you on your rights. If you're illegally locked out, I talked about that earlier, you can definitely use us as a resource. So anything relating to your landlord, if you're having issues with him or her, give us a call. This is our Social Security and social and supplemental security income unit. We can help with these applications, and we can help advise whether you qualify, whether you need to do a redetermination, whether you need to appeal a termination or a reduction. So if any of these two apply to you, we have attorneys that can help you with this process. And lastly, this is the juvenile law. I talked about this briefly, but if anybody's having issues with CYS, you can call our organization before the hearing and talk to our attorneys because they can meet before and have more time advising parents on their rights and what they should do, as opposed to just meeting at the hearing where an attorney will be appointed to you, but you might not have as much time as you'd like talking with the attorney. So if any of these cases or any of these legal issues apply to you or somebody you may know, you can do one of two things. You can apply online at lasp.org/intake, or you can call our helpline. The number is right there. We're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 1, and we're actually open from 9 to 12, and from 1 to 4, we're extending our hours because of COVID. If you have any questions relating to me, my presentation, feel free to give me a call or email me. The best way to reach me is via email. And I'd be more than happy to help you navigate any of these legal issues and refer you to our intake department. So thank you for your time and thank you for watching.